When I pull up on a hater, watch a hater fall back. I'm too good with these hands, watch a hater fall flat.
Welcome back, you window lickers. I knew you couldn't resist my incredible good looks and addictive personality. Get it? Addictive. Anyways, I know. You guys just can't get enough, and you keep coming back for more, and I love it. I'm not complaining. But before we begin, a quick thank you to my 17 favorite window lickers. You see them on your screen right now. Thank you. Appreciate you. You guys are amazing. Hope you keep spending your money on me. And just a quick reminder, I also have merch and a Discord. The links are in the description below if anybody is interested. And also keep hitting that like button because it does help me quite a lot. And you guys did listen the last time and I got way more likes than usual. You'll be surprised how much it helps. So here we go. New module, new gear, new changes are all on preview right now. And you might think I'm late to the party, but I'm actually not. I never rush to get my videos out. And to me, it never matters who uploads information first, even if I lose views because of it. I always put quality over speed and quantity any day of the week. It's just like sex. I mean, if you rush, it won't be as pleasurable. Just ask your women. They know what I mean. Plus, a little pleasure delaying never hurt anyone. In fact, the anticipation actually makes it better. Okay, let's begin because for a second I felt like I was teaching sexual etiquette. As I was saying, a new module is on the way, which this time around also has a new zone that comes along with it. Because the previous one didn't really have a zone, it just had hunts. And as per usual in every module, new gear and some changes are also introduced. The new campaign is called North Dark, which has something to do with Underdark, but I'm not a D&D expert, so I'll leave that to you guys to explain to me in the comments below if you know all that D&T lore type stuff. As far as the zone goes, at least the first portion of it didn't really impress me much. To me, it seems pretty bland and not much going on, but it is the Underdark, so I guess that's expected. But I don't really like the graphics and the overall look with these huge mushrooms and whatever's going on here. And it also has tons of annoying invisible walls for no apparent reason. As you see here, I'm just trying to stand on this up here and it won't let me get there. It just won't. Or like on this. Or go over here. Nothing. Just invisible walls upon invisible walls that might seem like no big deal to you at first glance, but wait until you start encountering them. Personally, for me, they ruin my immersion, and there's no purpose behind them. I mean, I should be able to jump over anything or jump down or go wherever I want to go without walls blocking my way. The walls should only apply to the boundaries of the instance. Might not be important to you, but it ruins my immersion, so it's important to me. As far as the zone goes, so far I don't see much of recycled content. There is some of it that's recycled, but not much. But that could change as we progress further into the campaign. So this is just my opinion, but I do think the visuals are pretty boring and they could have done a little bit better. But who knows? Maybe it gets better later on. We'll just have to wait and see. But so far I'm not really impressed with the zone. It's kind of depressing to me. But maybe that's the whole Underdark vibe. I don't know. Whatever. You guys let me know in the comments below if you agree with me or not. I don't like it that much, like the way it looks. Now, the campaign window itself is slightly different than before. It does have the usual weekly hauls, which means the campaign is time gated. Which it is because once you hover on top of it right here, it tells you what the weekly cap is. Then that would mean that you need 10 weeks to complete the campaign, which is 2.5 months in total. And reaching certain milestones, as you see on your screen, also gives you various rewards. It gives you 2 packs that have companion gear choices of 1,500 and 1,600 item level, companion tokens, 100,000 astro diamonds, and reagents for the blaspheme weapons. And there's a slight change in the bottom of the campaign window too, where it shows you the boons in this little box and a couple of unlocks on the right. There's also a North Dark campaign store where you can buy vanity pets, companion tokens, various overloads for the North Dark campaign, a companion gear surprise box, and you can also purchase legendary companion gear and a legendary helm, chest, arms, and boots pieces. But I'll get into the gear when I review them in a few minutes in the collections tab. Another pretty great and interesting change is that they added the search option to your inventory. So basically your inventory, vanity pets, professions, basically almost every tab right here. And they also added the search option to your companions lists and stables. As you can see on your screen right now, you can see that you can search for, like, let's say the owlbear, for example, and press enter and it finds it pretty fast. Same applies to the mounts, which is pretty cool. This means they do listen sometimes. The key word here is sometimes. I know many people have been asking for this quality of life change for a while now, so cool stuff. Also, the Temple of the Spider was reworked into a master version, which will be much harder. To be honest, I am a little disappointed because I was expecting a completely new dungeon, but if they can make Temple of the Spider interesting with fun mechanics and good rewards, then whatever. I'm down for that too. But now let's get into some juicy stuff, which as always is the gear. So as you see here, we have two sets of weapons. We have the Blaspheme weapons and the Stormforged weapons. Let's begin with the epic version, the Blaspheme Cleaver. It has a new stat here that I haven't really seen before, the plus 50 damage on the weapons, plus the usual stats like combat advantage, crit strike, crit severity, and the usual combined rating. So when you use both weapons, you gain 7,500 power, defense, or outgoing healing, depending on your role. So tank, healer, DPS. And that lasts for 15 seconds when you dodge, block, sprint, or shadow slip. And it can only occur once every 30 seconds. When dealing combat advantage damage, you also have a chance to gain 5% outgoing damage, incoming damage resistance, or outgoing healing, depending on your role, for 15 seconds. And this too can only apply for 30 seconds. So these weapons to me are pretty middle of the road, halfway decent. They're not the best, but they're not the worst. And they have a pretty high item level of 1,900. Then we have the Stormforged weapons. They come at legendary at 2,000 item level, which is fucking insane. Like the item level is just going way, way up, which means the damage is going way, way up, which means we'll be killing shit a lot easier. But whatever, let's get back to the weapons. So it gives you plus 100 damage, combat advantage, crit strike, crit severity, and 1,800 combined rating. So as you can see, this gives 100 damage, but the other weapons give plus 50 damage. Also using these weapons, your damage, incoming damage resistance, and outgoing healing are increased by 2% while you're in the Underdark. So that's an extra benefit you're getting from these weapons when you're in the Underdark areas. You also gain 7.5% damage, incoming damage resistance, and outgoing healing, depending on your roll, for 15 seconds when you dodge, block, sprint, or shadow slip, and this can only occur once every 30 seconds. Additionally, when dealing combat advantage damage, you have a 10% chance to gain 5% outgoing damage, incoming damage resistance, and outgoing healing depending on your role, and that too can only last for 15 seconds and only occur once every 30 seconds. So as you can see, these weapons are pretty damn good. I'm not really a fan of that whole 10% chance thing because sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't. That I'm not a fan of, but these weapons are going to be pretty good. And the item level is pretty high, so is the combined rating, which means you're going to do even more damage just off the rip using these weapons. So yeah, I have a feeling these are going to be best in slot for AoE only. Single target will probably still be Masterworks, but we'll see. We'll see when the time comes. Now let's move on to Dark Maiden's gear. Here we have 4 pieces: head, chest, arms, and legs. The head piece is called the Dark Maiden's Assault Shroud at 2,000 item level as well. Gives you 1,500 accuracy, 1,500 defense, and 1,800 combined rating. And it has the equip bonus called Executioner's Zeal. When you kill an enemy, you gain 1% action points. So this is similar to the Primal Boots that has you gain 3% action points when you kill an enemy. I don't know how good this is going to be, but it could potentially be pretty ridiculous if it works properly, but only for AoE. Also, I don't know if it's worth it because you lose a lot of stats if you replace your Garisto's horns or any headpiece that gives you 10% crit chance or accuracy or whatever. So if you lose all those stats to gain these action points, will it be worth it? I don't know, but there is potential here. We're just going to have to test it out and find out for ourselves. Next, we have the Dark Maiden's Assault Hide, which also has 2,000 item level, has various stats, and it has the equip power called Maiden's Blade. You do 3% more damage to enemies that are not facing you. This doubles in the Underdark. Now this chest piece for me is crap. I hate those bonuses with 3% more damage behind the enemy and all that crap. Plus it doesn't hold a candle to the rib cage and the tactful leathers. I mean, you can use this. In the Underdark it'll be 6%. But yeah, I wouldn't bother with this chest piece. I would definitely go for the tactful leathers or the rib cage. Definitely tactful leathers through the Dragon Hunts is way better than this. Now we have the gloves. The Dark Maiden's Assault Gloves, 2,000 item level as well, various stats, defense, critical strike, and combined rating, and it has the equip power of Critical Force. Whenever you critically strike with your powers, you have a 10% chance to deal 150 magnitude damage around you. Now, I don't know how this is going to work exactly, but it can only happen every 15 seconds, and Yeah, I don't think these are going to be good. They might be. I might end up being wrong, but anything that gives you a 10% chance to me is not worth it. So you have a 10% chance when you critically strike, but then again, you critically strike pretty often, 90% of the time. So it could be good, but it seems like it's only good for AoE if it does turn out to be good. Then we have the Dark Maiden's Assault Gators, which also have 2000 item level like the rest of these pieces do at Legendary, and it gives you combat advantage, crit severity, defense, and combined rating. And the equip power is Spider's Bane. You gain 3000 power in the Underdark and gain more roll effectiveness when in the Temple of the Spider, which will either be 5% outgoing damage, minus 5% incoming damage, or 5% outgoing healing. So it seems like these boots are only good in the Underdark. Anywhere else, this effectiveness does not apply. Now let's go to the Dragonsteel gear. Here we have the Dragonhide helmet. All these 4 pieces of gear at a 1900 item level, which is 100 item level less than the previous Dark Maiden's gear that we just looked at. The stats you can see right on your screen, they're pretty decent, has a little bit of a lower combined rating, and the equip power is called Expert's Authority. For the first minute you are in combat, you will gain 600 forte every 5 seconds. If you stay in combat for longer than 1 minute, the following effects occur depending on your role. If you're a healer or DPS, you will lose 650 power every 5 seconds to a total loss of 7,800 power. And the tank would lose 650 defense every 5 seconds for a total loss of 7,800 defense. Now this headpiece is absolute trash. I don't know who made this, who came up with it, but who in the right mind would wear this? I mean, why do you even need to be punished for being in combat more than a minute? Which won't really happen because things die so quickly now. So yeah, this headpiece, do not use this, is absolute garbage. Then we go to the Dragonhide chest piece, which has different roles for stats, and it has an equip power called Leader's Power. Gain 1000 power and 1000 crit strike for each player in your team, which seems they can get 5000 power and 5000 crit strike if it also applies 1000 power to you for equipping it in the first place. It's not bad. I mean, it's not as good as the Ribcage or Tactful Leathers, but it's not bad. I mean, it's 10,000 stats right there when you're in a party. It's obviously really bad for questing, soloing, or anything like that. It's neither here nor there. Not that good, not that bad, but whatever. That's up to you. But I wouldn't get this and I wouldn't use it since we do have the Tactful Leathers. But it's up to you. Then we have the Dragonhide gloves, which has decent stats, 1900 item level just like the rest of this gear, and it has the equip power called Charged at Will. Whenever you activate a daily power, and increase the damage dealt by your at will attacks by 15% for 10 seconds, and it has a 20-second cooldown. These gloves here can potentially be best in slot. It just depends. There's a few pros and cons. So first of all, one of the cons is that you're limited to at-wills only, but it is 15%, and 15% is a huge number, and it lasts for 10 seconds. So if you can use your daily like twice a minute, you're going to get 15% damage for 20 seconds in that minute. So is 15% that lasts about 20 seconds every minute worth it? Probably, yeah, because we don't have that many good gloves in this game. Like the Van Braces are pretty decent, and we have the Wrist Guards of Precipitation that give you power. So if you can cap your stats, this might be best in slot. I'm not saying it's going to be. It could potentially be, because it is limited to at-wills, and not all classes prefer doing their damage with at-wills. But for rogues, it could potentially be good. We'll just have to test it and see it, but these do have huge potential. But we'll find out in the long run. I think these can actually be good. Then we have the boots, which are the best boots in the game. These actually change depending if you're a healer or a DPS, but I'm just going to talk about the DPS version. These also have 1900 item level, various stats, and the equip power for this is called This or That. So when you're not in a party, you gain 5,000 defense, and when you are in a party, you can gain up to 10,000 accuracy, which is absolutely bonkers. That's a lot of stats for one piece of gear. And I know there's different stats for different roles or different classes, but for rogues, it's 10,000 accuracy. So for me, if you could fit these somewhere, these are going to be the new best in slot boots. It's just way too much stats to pass up. So yeah, these to me, at least on a rogue, are probably going to be best in slot. But like I said, until we try them and test them and use them, we will not know. So now let's go to artifacts and relics. Here, as you can see, we have 2 new artifact sets, and then we have the new Forger's box. So the first artifact set contains Assassin's Dice, Assassin's Choker, and Assassin's Belt. This set's kind of decent. It gives you 1.5% crit strike and 1.5% critical avoidance, and the values are doubled in the Underdark. The interesting part is the artifact. It is actually a debuff. So a target marked by the loaded dice loses 5% critical chance, critical avoidance, and deflect severity. So it's a debuff artifact. So debuff artifacts are never a bad thing. Like, you might not want to wear the full set, but the debuff actually applies when you just use the artifact. The set bonus is the 1.5% crit strike and the 1.5% critical avoidance. And then we have the tentacle set, which has a tentacle rod artifact, tentacle eye, and tentacle wrap. And this actually made me kind of laugh because, come on, tentacle rod, that doesn't sound sexual. Tentacle eye, that doesn't either. And tentacle wrap, you serious? So condom, tentacle wrap, penis wrap, that's crazy. That's crazy. Either my imagination is crazy or these names are absolutely ridiculous. Tentacle rod, tentacle wrap. So the wrap for the whatever, I'm letting it go. So when you use the 3-piece set here, you gain 3% defense when you are struck by an attack. And you also have a 10% chance to deal 100 magnitude damage around yourself. And that can occur once every 10 seconds. No idea how good this is going to be, but I do know the artifact itself is another debuff. So when you use this in your target will lose 5% movement speed, 5% awareness, and will take 5% more damage from you and your party for 10 seconds. So even if this artifact set is not good to use, which I'm not really sure of at the moment, the artifact itself is pretty good because you can never have enough of debuffs. And then if we go down here, we have the new Forger's Box, which is the perfect spider totem. So having it equipped, you'll have increased combat advantage by 2%, and it also increases your damage against drow by 1%. And additionally, you can receive one of the following effects when you activate it. You'll get increased critical chance or increased stamina regeneration by 2%, or you'll get accuracy and action points by 2%, or you'll get power and recharge speed by 2%. This does seem like it's a better version than the old Forger's Box, and it gives you combat advantage instead of power, and it gives you double stats as well that increase by 2%. So this seems pretty interesting, and it's probably best in slot. Now let's go to the rings of the North Dark Reaches. There's Mythic Gear and there's Epic Gear. The Mythic Gear comes from the new Master Temple of the Spider, and the Epic Gear comes from heroic encounters in the new zone. So let's start with the very first ring. I don't know how to say that name properly, so I'm just going to call it Illustries. So Illustries Grace gives you 5,500 combat advantage and combined rating. That's a lot of stats for one ring. It's at 1,850 item level and has an equip power called Midnight's Malady. When you cast a damaging AoE that only hits one target, the target's defense and awareness will decrease by 3.5% for 5 seconds, which is a debuff ring, which I haven't seen before. So this ring could be very good for trials. It could be very good in general for one person to use in your group. It's a pretty decent ring, a debuff ring. Never seen that before. And also these rings have a set bonus. So if you use any 2 Dark Maiden rings, you get a 2 set bonus and you gain an extra 3,000 forte, and your attacks also have a 10% chance to deal an additional 33 magnitude damage around you. Then we have Illustries Elegance, another 1,850 item level ring, and your ranged powers do 3% more damage. The next ring has Rising Precision. On hitting a foe, you gain 1,500 critical strike for 4 seconds. This effect can stack a maximum of 5 times, which basically means 7,500 crit strike, which is a pretty high number. And you also get 5,550 accuracy as a stat roll. Then you have Illustries Harmony. This one gives you 4,160 combat advantage and 1,388 critical severity. And its equip bonus is one we've seen before. It's called the Swordsman's Perk. Your melee powers do 3% more damage. Then we have Illustries Truth. You get 5,550 crit severity, and it has an equip power called Rising Power. On hitting a foe, you gain 1,500 power for 4 seconds. This effect can stack a maximum of 5 times. So another ring that gives you 7,500 power when equipping it. Then we have Illustries Beauty. It gives you 4,162 accuracy and 1,388 combat advantage, and it has an equip power called Maiden's Advantage. You gain 5% combat advantage, but when in combat with 2 or more enemies, you also gain 2.5% power. So to me, this is a really good ring because it has the 2 most important stats for a DPS: power and combat advantage, and 7.5% of it in total, which, like I said, is the new Red Eyes Glare, but a better version of it, I think anyways. Next ring is Illustries Enduring. Gives you 5,550 critical strike, and the equip bonus is called Shielded Offense. When you have a shield or temporary HP, attacks against you have a 5% chance to reflect 50% of the damage back to the enemy, to 200 magnitude max damage. No clue how good this is because I don't play tanks. Next ring Illustrious Benevolence. It gives you 4,162 forte and 1,388 outgoing healing. And the equip power is called Challenger's Haste. When in combat with only one enemy, your movement speed is increased by 10 seconds. So I think this is absolute trash. Personally, because one enemy, 10% movement speed, I think we could do better than that. Next ring is called Illustrious Benediction. It gives you 5,550 forte, and it has an equip power called Moonlight's Blessing. When you cast a healing AoE that only hits you or one ally, the target's power and combat advantage will increase by 3.5% for 5 seconds. So this ring is interesting because this is something a healer could use or a support class. He could heal in a specific area and the target, wherever the healing lands, you'll get extra power and combat advantage, 3.5% of it to be exact, for 5 seconds. So it's a little mini buff. Now we have Illustrious Obligation, which gives 4,162 crit severity and 1,388 incoming healing with the equip power called Maiden Serenity. You gain 5% crit strike when in combat with 2 or more enemies, and you also gain 2.5% crit severity. Then we have Illustrious Patience, which gives you 5,550 incoming healing and an equip power called Rising Defense. When hit by a foe, you gain 1,500 defense for 4 seconds. This effect can stack a maximum of 5 times, so up to 7,500 defense. This seems like it's good for tanks, but only tanks will know when they try it. And then lastly, we have Illustrious Tenacity, which gives you 1,388 combat advantage and 4,162 awareness. The equip power is called Bulwark Shield. He takes 3% less damage from ranged attacks. Pretty specific, only ranged attacks. So if a boss is right up and personal with you, this will be absolutely useless. I'm not going to get to the epic rings because I think they're pretty trash, but you can have a look at them yourselves. Now we have the Clothing of the North Dark Reaches. So as you see here, there's 5, 6 shirts and 6 pants, and they all have the same exact bonuses on them, except they have different rolls of stat. So if you go here to the first one, Drow Mage's Tunic, it'll give you crit strike and control bonus, and the equip power is Charged Fury. So when your stamina is over 75%, your damage is increased by 3%. So that's the old bonus that we used to have in shirts that's back now in these new upgraded versions of the shirt. And they're pretty cool. You could definitely use this for 3% extra damage. And all you have to do is choose the stats that you want. See, there's crit severity and crit strike here, deflection, outgoing healing. So they all give the same bonus. It's just different stats. And the pants is exactly the same thing, except for the equip bonus is called Charged Defiance. When your stamina is over 75%, you take 3% less damage. So mostly good for tanks. As a DPSer, I probably won't use these. And down here we have even higher item level shirts and pants at 1,550. The Debonair Shirt of Reaches, there's 6 of those, and there's 6 Debonair Pants of the Reaches. And they all have the same exact bonus. So this one has Butcher's Zeal. When you damage or heal your target for more than 50% of your maximum hit points in a single blow, you gain 1% action points. And the pants is whenever you are damaged for more than 50% of your maximum hit points in a single blow, you gain 5% defense for 10 seconds. And all you have to do is pick the stats that you want because they're all exactly the same with the same exact bonus of Warden's Defense or Butcher's Zeal. Now let's get into the companion gear. There's some legendary, there's some epic, so let's look at them one by one. So here we have a legendary Impeccable Emerald Talisman of the Companion. This gives you 2,400 combat advantage, which is single statted, but it's a pretty high number. Also, we have another one here called the Shimmering Emerald Talisman, which is 2 statted. It gives you combat advantage and critical severity at a pretty high number of 1,200. Then we have an epic one that has awareness control bonus. We have the Perfect Sapphire Ring that gives you 2,400 crit strike. We have the Sparkling Sapphire Ring, which is 2 statted and gives you accuracy and crit strike, and a whole bunch of other ones. But there is an interesting one that I did see here a minute ago. Let me find it real quick. So this companion gear here is going to be really good for healers. This one here gives you 2,400 outgoing healing, which is single statted. Then you have a 2 statted one, which gives you incoming healing and outgoing healing. And the rest is just the same as everything else, 2 statted and single statted, and they all come from the campaign store. So pretty decent companion rings, pretty cool if you ask me. And here we have some fashion. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like, that looks weird. Let's see, what about this? This is a chest piece. Weird. What's that guy from Transformers? Megatron. Look like Megatron. So yeah, that's about it for my review. Some gear is good. Most of it's pretty mediocre, but they do have really high item level. So as time progresses and we start creating builds, we'll figure out what's best in slot and what's not. what is usable and what's not, and under what situations they are usable in. As you saw, there's a lot of useless stuff too that you probably won't use. The companion gear for sure is all good depending on the stats you need. Some gear have really new weird bonuses like debuffs and buffs. The weapons seem pretty legit. The zone, I don't know yet. It looks pretty mediocre to me, but that's just my taste. For you, you guys might like the zone the way it looks, but I am really upset at all those invisible walls, which ruins my immersion. And we do have the quality of life change with the search options, which is pretty cool, and the new Master Temple of the Spider. So yeah, that's about it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you interested in any of these gear pieces or are you not? If so, let me know which ones you fancy, which ones you think are going to be good, and which ones not. Me personally, I've seen a couple that I think might be interesting. We'll figure it out, and then we'll make videos about it, letting you know what's all the best shit, because that's what we do usually, right? Right. Anyways, gotta go. Galactic here. Peace out. Stay safe.
Oh my God, if I die, I'm a legend. When they lay me down to rest, I know I was always repping.